Hello, I'm Chris. Welcome back to Marine Corner. Hope you're doing well and having a good week so far. This is going to be my video of 10 before the end. I am not including any books I am currently reading, just because I want this to be cover to cover books that I'm going to read. I have a stack. I've got 11 in total because I couldn't narrow it down to 10. But I think, given a couple of them, I think it makes sense why I've got those books. So I'm just going to go through. They're in a sort of order. They're in a sort of order. I'm just going to jiggle a couple around, actually, just to make it make more sense. Because then they are kind of in a more... but the order I've got them in is the order I plan on reading them, more or less. So without further ado, I don't want this video to go too long, but basically I just thought I'd do a 10 before the end. So the first one up is The Mugger by Ed McBain, which is the second book in the 87th Precinct novels. The reason I wanted to read this is because of Criminelli's doing the reading. Read all his books one a month. The reason I wanted to pick this one up now, I was going to pick this up for 100-Year-Old Man, but then I decided that I fancied reading that first. So Ed McBain, The Mugger, is going to be my next read. I haven't read the back of this. I don't want to read the back of it. I just want to see what it's about. I'm guessing it's about a mugger because the first one was about a cop hater, but I don't want to know too much about that one. Next up, I have a classic that I haven't read. I have only read one book by this author, and this author is John Steinbeck, and the book is East of Eden. I got this book in Pitlochry at the train station, and this was £1. It was £1 for older books, 2 for newer books, and 3 for most recent. So I like the cover of this. I was going to get Grapes of Wrath, I think it was, but that was just a Penguin Vintage edition, and I like this a bit more. So I picked this up. So this one says, California's fertile Salinas Valley is home to 2 families whose destinies are fruitfully and fatally intertwined. Over the generations between the beginning of the 20th century and the end of the First World War, the Trasks and the Hamiltons will helplessly replay the fall of Adam and Eve and the murderous rivalry of Cain and Abel. So that's cool. But they've got, I don't know if you can see, but they've got the other covers in this kind of edition. It's got Of Mice and Men, which I read at school. It's got The Red Pony, The Grapes of Wrath, The Pearl, and Cannery Row. So I would like to get the rest in this, but I do have a copy of Mice and Men, because I feel like the books I read at school I should reread, because I feel like forced reading them. I don't know, I really want to reread them. And then I've got a series, but there's only 2 books in the series. First one is All Quiet on the Western Front, and then The Way Back. So I want to read both of these. I wasn't going to read both, but I thought, well, I can finish a series, and I fancied reading that anyway, so it made sense, and they're both in the vintage classic. I like it. It's a bit of a shame that one's a bit more faded, but that's that. Because that's the second in the series, I'll tell you what this one's about. So it says, one by one, the boys begin to fall. In 1914, a room full of German schoolboys, fresh-faced and idealistic, are goaded by their schoolmaster to troop off to the glorious war. With the fire and patriotism of youth, they sign up. What follows is the moving story of a young, unknown soldier experiencing the horror and disillusionment of life in the trenches. So that sounds really good. When did I get this? I've got a receipt from where I got it. I got it from the Children's Society. I paid $1.54 for it because I put an extra donation, and it was I got it on the 5th of October this year. So, and I got that one not long after. So, they are both, those three are all books I got this year. So, that's my 4 novels. Well, 4 of the novels I want to read. So, that's that. Now I'm on to a little non-fiction section that I want to read. And they're all, I wouldn't say they're all music books. They're mostly music books. So the first one I want to read is Swans, Sacrifice and Transcendence, the Oral History by Nick Soulsby. So it says, Swans are a experimental rock band, quite hard to get into, especially as I like Swans, but I've only really listened to Be Kind in full, because they've got so many albums. It's hard to really, delve into. But I really fancied reading this. I got this off eBay when I was looking for something on Swans, and it says over a span of some 3.5 decades, Michael Gira's Swans have risen from chaotic origins in the aftermath of New York's no wave scene to become one of the most acclaimed rock-orientated acts of recent years. The 1980s infamous loudest band on the planet morphed repeatedly until collapsing exhausted, broken and dispirited in the late 1990s. Swans returned triumphantly in 2010 to top end-of-year polls and achieve feted status among fans and critics alike as the great survivors and latter-day statesmen of the underground scene. Throughout, Gira's desire has remained to create music of such intensity that the listener might forget flesh, get rid of the body, exist as pure energy, transcendent inside the sound. Through these pages, the musicians responsible tell the tale of one of the most significant bands of the US post-punk era, drawing on more than 125 original interviews. Sacrifice and Transcendence is the ultimate companion to Swans and their work from the 1980s to the present day. So yeah, you can imagine they've got a big discography to work through, but when I got music books, I usually try and pair up the music with the book. So, like for this, I listened to Swans. For Joy Division, the book about Joy Division, I've been listening to Joy Division, stuff like that. So that's that. Can't wait to get to that. So yeah, it was on my mind and I decided to pull it out, so pick that. And I've got a couple I got from the High Peak bookshop. I haven't got all of them because I got 3 novels and I was just trying to decide what I wanted to read, and I kind of picked what I picked. If I get through this, I get through it, but I don't think I will get through everything. But you know, why not have? I'd rather have too much to read and not enough to read. And then this one's Miles Davis, the autobiography, which is about Miles Davis, who plays jazz, and it says, Miles, the autobiography, like the man himself, holds nothing back. He talks about his battles against drugs, rape and racism, and discusses the many women in his life. But above all, Miles talks about music and musicians, including the legends he has played with over the years: Bird, Dizzy, Monk, Train, Mingus, and many others. The man who has given us the most exciting music of recent times has now given us a fascinating and compelling insight into his extraordinary life. So that sounds really interesting. I don't think... No. Let me just see that. Let me make sure I'm right. Yeah, it was like 8... Yeah, so it was first published in 1989, he died in 1991. So it's quite, it's got the majority of his life in there. But yeah, it was £4 from the High Peak Bookshop. Well, it's £3.99. And then another one from High Peak Bookshop that I wanted to read, Andy Warhol and Pat Hackett, Popism. This says, a cultural storm swept through the 1960s, pop art, psychedelia, Bob Dylan, underground filmmaking, and at its centre in New York was Andy Warhol. His studio, the Manhattan Loft, known as The Factory, was the hub of the 60s scene. It was the place where he created the large canvases of soup cans and cultural icons that defined pop art, where everyone from Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground to Edie Sedgwick could be found, where Chelsea Girls and Warhol's other classics were shot, and where Warhol himself could observe that these extraordinary times, anecdotal, funny and frank. Popism is the ultimate insider's account of the decade that changed the world. And you've got a couple more books there. It says Andy Warhol Diaries and Andy Warhol, The Philosophy of Andy Warhol. But when I went to High Peak Bookshop, I wanted to get a mixture of stuff. So I got like a musician, an artist, I got a classic, I got a William Faulkner novel, I got a couple of science fiction books, and I got a short story collection as well. So I got quite a mixture. But them are two that I want to get to sooner rather than later. I did want to get to Faulkner as well, but it depends on how I get on with this pile of books and what I'm currently reading as well. And then I'm going to talk about them last. And then I've got Whiteout by Ken Follett, which is like a thriller that's set around Christmas. So I wanted to read that over Christmas. It is a reread. It's about a pharmaceutical research company developing a lethal virus, and that lethal virus gets taken, and then this is what happens. It's a really good book. It's just one I enjoy reading over Christmas because it starts like Christmas Eve, and I think in a few pages, I got this from Emmaus, which is used to be my favourite charity shop, but it's been a bit hit and miss lately. I don't know why. I can't remember where I got up to, where it is now. It might be further on than what I think. Yeah, it might be further on what I think. But basically, it's set over Christmas anyway. And so, yeah, I just fancied reading it. And, well, I've read it before. It's a reread, but I fancied reading it again. But, yeah, so I'll go in. But because I like reading it over Christmas, that's when I read it. So that's that. And then finally, I've got Adrian Edmondson's Berserker, I got in my last latest book haul. The reason I want to read this is because I just thought it'd be a fun read, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a funny read, I don't want to say a quick read, but like a good read for reading. So I thought I'd fancied reading that. And then finally, I've got 2 short story collections that I'm going to read. First one up, I'm going to start this tomorrow because I want to try and finish this. I don't want to start it tomorrow or start it Friday and finish it Boxing Day. But this is the Mistletoe Murder and Other Stories. This is by P.D. James. This is one of the 2 books I wanted to show you last time that are hardcovers. They're just like Christmas crime stories by P.D. James, who's... What's he called? I can't think of his name now. Adam Dalgliesh. Adam Dalgleish. So she wrote Adam Dalgleish as well as Children of Men. So that's The Mistletoe Murder I want to read. There's 4 stories in this. So I started Friday. I plan on reading 1 Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. And then 6 in there. And then in this one as well. And then Sleep No More by P.D. James. So this one's got, like I say, 6 in it. This has got, so yeah. So the stories in this are The Mistletoe Murder, A Very Commonplace Murder, The Boxdale Inheritance, The 12 Clues of Christmas. So I'll be reading those. And then this one is slightly thicker, I'd say. And this one obviously has 6 stories in. This is the one I read first. So years ago I got one of these for Christmas. I got this one for Christmas in paperback, but then I found these nice hardcovers, so picked them up. So this one's got The Yo-Yo, The Victim, The Murder of Santa Claus, The Girl Who Loved Graveyards, A Very Desirable Residence, and Mr. Millcroft's Birthday. But I just thought they were really nice. But I can't remember, I got one and I was like, and then I saw another one, I was like, is that the one I've got or not? And luckily it wasn't. So yeah, like I said, these are just cosy, Christmassy, kind of crime short stories that I like reading over Christmas. So I'll probably try. I think I'll start on Friday, just because it gives me time to read a bit more of what I'm reading. Sorry, I need a drink now. And also, so this T-shirt is basically, that's him on the left, and that's Rick Mail, who passed away. So yeah, but I saw it on my desk, and I also want to get to 2 or 3 graphic novels, if not more. But I'm not mentioning them here because I just think we'll see what we get to. We'll see where we get up to. But I'm going to do a quick pile. So, wrong way. So I've got Adrian Edmondson, Berserker. I've got Ken Follett, Whiteout. Sleep, The Mistletoe Murder and Other Stories. Sleep No More, 6 Murderous Tales. Andy Warhol, Popism. Miles Davis, The Autobiography. Swans, Sacrifice and Transcendence. The Mugger by Ed McBain. John Steinbeck, East of Eden. Eric Maria Marquez, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, All Quiet on the Western Front. And then also by the same author, The Way Back. So that's quite a stack for the rest of the year, so we'll see how we get on with that. If I could only read half of that, it would be The Mugger, East of Eden, Swans, P.D. James, Adrian Edmondson and Ken Follett, and hopefully All Quiet on the Western Front, and all of it really I want to read, so we'll go and see what we get up to, but that's basically it. What's everyone else's reading plans before the end of the year? Has anyone read any of these? What does anyone think, if they have, or plan to read them? Next year I plan on doing bigger books, so I'm trying to plan that, but I don't know what to do about the video for that, because I feel like I don't want to pick 12 big books and then like that's what you're reading. So I'm thinking of doing it in 3. I'm thinking of doing a quarterly reading plan. Just a big book, probably a McBain book to carry on with the McBain thing, and then maybe a couple of shorter books. I want to try and get series read next year as well. So start off with, say, month 1 with, well, just for argument's sake, these 2 books. So that's January and that's February, something like that. But obviously longer series than that, like, well, trilogies more than series. But yeah, that's what I plan on reading. And anyway, I will see you in the next one. Bye.